More than 15 million Americans lawfully exercise their right to carry a firearm. And the fastest growing group is women. But too many people don't fully consider just how life-changing a decision like this can be. My time at the SIG Academy put it all into perspective. And if you're thinking about exercising your right to carry, or even if you already do, I can't recommend an experience like this enough. I'm Kimberly Corban, and this is Empower the People, sponsored by SIG Sauer.
Unfortunately, we live in a kind of a dangerous world. Home invasions, carjackings, muggings, all of those things are real. And if you choose to carry concealed and want to combat those things, it's important you get the proper training so that you know what you're getting into. It's a huge responsibility being a gun owner, and especially a concealed carry holder.
I knew the laws surrounding it more so than anything. I think I looked into the legalities of firearm ownership for far longer than I did what I would actually want to carry or if I would want to carry. I was shooting a pistol and had them in my home for about 3 years before I actually felt comfortable enough to carry.
When you have to dig through the hidden reports in the media of people who have used a firearm in self-defense, it is oftentimes off-duty officers or somebody who has had that extensive training and has gone through all of that before they get to that point.
Well, and it's the ones that you don't read about that were maybe carrying and it was enough to get them out of the situation.
Right.
And that's an unreported number. You're never gonna know how many females are, feeling like they are not in a safe situation, but they know that they have their pistol either on them or in their purse and are able to de-escalate and get out of that situation because they had that last result confidence, and if they had to go there, they could.
Domestically in the United States, concealed carry is key. I don't want anybody to know that I have a gun on me, and I think that's really important. And there is a big difference between a gun that's just covered and then a gun that's actually concealed. That way, heaven forbid we ever had to use them, it's a complete surprise to whoever we're having to use them against.
A lot of women shy away from carrying on body because they don't want the gun to define their wardrobe choices or their style or what have you. Downsides of carrying in a purse or something if they don't want to do a belt, because I know a lot of my outfits just they plain don't have belt loops or it's a dress or something like that.
I think the downside to carrying off body is that wherever you've placed that gun now has to stay with you wherever you go.
Right.
So you cannot just leave your purse lying around somewhere because you're leaving behind your gun. Also, if people are going to purse snatch or you forget it, those people now have option or the ability to gain access to your firearm. Right. So those are the downsides to it. And these are great things to consider. And like we always say, the decision to carry a gun is a life-changing decision. Yeah. All of these little things that you're bringing up, I'm so glad to hear that you're actually thinking about them, because most people don't. They got their concealed carry license, they strap that gun on every day, and not taking in all of those other aspects of their life and how it should change. Right. It is extremely important to think about those things and then do what's right, not just for you and for comfort, but for your family.
What I get asked the most is, how do you carry? Or when you are going and speaking or you're dressed for work, where do you carry? How do you carry? What do you find is effective? And I don't always have the right answer.
Hannah's real-world experiences and all her backgrounds is really going to benefit Kim today.
My former career was in law enforcement. I worked both local law enforcement and for the Federal Air Marshal Service. So concealed carry was my lifestyle. Every day I had to make sure that I was in deep cover because of the mission of my job. So I'm here today to help Kim find a way where she can carry for protection as well. So now let's try that bicep curl. So underneath the material comes straight up with it, exposes the firearm. Sometimes it's better to use the support hand, so that way as we clear the article of clothing, our dominant hand can go right onto the firearm.
Okay.
One of the most important components of choosing gear is to make sure it works for you. It's important to work through the gear first so that you can find if there are any hiccups that need to be addressed before you're in a situation where it's too late. Confidence goes a long way in being able to run the gun appropriately and be able to blend it into our goals of protection. So when we're going back to the holster, there's never any rush. Safety is our utmost concern. Right. Safety for ourselves, especially, because the gun's coming back as close to us as it will ever be, right? So we want to make sure everything's right. Women's bodies are built differently than men's, so it's important that we acknowledge that and that we work through that to make sure we can find something that's going to be a viable option for her so that she can wear without having to change her lifestyle too much. For women, we have different considerations to think through because we don't throw on that same pair of Levi's with a belt every single morning.
Right.
And the holster here is a corset-style holster, so it's worn on your midsection. So pretty awesome. We can have our firearm on one side, and then we can have our accessories on the other.
Well, and I like this part because it'll keep it actually in there.
It keeps it in there, so you have a retention device as well. The goal is to have the corset snug because it tucks everything in, including the firearm, and it makes it very easy for us to wear tops just like we have on today and still be able to conceal. Keys to carrying on a daily basis are to make sure that it's easy. If it's not easy, human nature tells us we're not gonna do it. No matter what I'm doing, I've been able to apply it to my life. I can go hiking, I can go out for a jog, I can throw it on to go to the grocery store, and I forget that it's on, and I don't have to worry about any of those malfunctions occurring behind my equipment.
Right. Yeah, I like where this is centered.
Yep, and we have that ability to dress the way we want to dress.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, these are my mom uniforms, so
that's it. Again, we want to be able to find something that applies to our everyday life, because if it doesn't, we're not going to do it.
Right,
so.
right.
I loved that everybody not only talked about practical application, but the morality of using a firearm, because we take carrying very seriously, and we know that we're doing it to protect ourselves. And I loved that that wasn't an absent part of our conversations or our trainings.
We have the right to defend ourselves and other people, and that's a huge responsibility. The flip side of that is the moral aspect of it. Just because we can, does that necessarily mean we should? Right, it's a pretty gray area, right? Again, I can't answer that for you or for anyone else. It's totally subjective based upon your own life experiences and the situation that you're in. But these situations unfortunately do happen in today's society. You're well aware of that. Luckily for us, we have the opportunity to defend ourselves, but again, not always the best option.
As a mom, what was your takeaway?
We didn't just learn about firearms or how to use them, but it was all the things that should lead up to not having to result to that, because it's a last defense. And as long as I am carrying, I need to be doing it the right way and knowing as much as I can about how to properly carry. And at the end of the day, that's who I need to defend. It is a total mind shift where you are always looking to protect your kids. And this is the best way that you can do that.
Nice. Awesome.